thought it was a real opportunity to sort of build on some of the themes and to look at, say, toxic masculinity and how Paddy's character is this sort of bad mentor for Ben, and to look beyond into the third act in terms of agency of the characters. I think there was something interesting in terms of not just how people are constrained by polite society, but also when we're confronted with violence, how we react to that. And I thought there was a real interesting way to sort of further explore how the characters think they will react and how they do react. Paddy and Kira Feld live on a farm in the West Country. Paddy is a very exuberant, outgoing guy, and mercurial, I suppose, is how you define him. He's the life and soul of the party, fun, pushes boundaries, and very much an outdoorsman. And I think there's a sense in which when Ben, who's a slightly more closed character, sees him, he sees the potential for someone who can show him a better way of living. The Daltons are an American expat couple living in London. They moved there for Ben's job, and then the job fell through and they stayed there because they had a visa and he wanted to make it work. It was his motherland, as it were. And he's a middle-aged man who's slightly in crisis, I suppose, not sure what his sense of self is, sense of masculinity, feels a little superannuated and kind of possibly at some level a bit troubled and angry by that. And his wife has sort of stood by him, but there's fractures in their relationship. And, they've got an anxious daughter, and they're sort of struggling through life a little bit. And when they meet Paddy and Kira, they're invited for this weekend away. It's almost like it's going to be kind of couples therapy or something, that they can go and possibly unlock themselves by hanging out with this freer, unshackled couple. But obviously it doesn't turn out that way. Yeah, it was important to have Paddy to be as sort of seductive as he is scary, so that we talked about red lights and green lights, or hot and cold, so that there's a lot of sort of almost truth in some of the stuff he says, like there are with these demagogues. They get a little bit of truth and then they sprinkle it with a lot of bullshit. And Paddy has that. So, when he takes them to the farm is beautiful. He takes them on these amazing walks. He does know the countryside. He knows how to make fire. He knows how to forage and do stuff, and shows them cool stuff. So, and he is fun, and he's got this quirky sense of humor. And as Americans, they're looking at him going, okay, is this guy saying the unsayable, or is he just being a sort of cheeky Brit?
Daddy, he's got absolutely no rhythm, and he's ruining the routine.
Daddy, they're just kids.
Listen, as my dad used to say, if you don't concentrate in life, you amount to nothing.
He is 100% like the most dedicated professional actor you could ever work with. He's an absolute delight, and he is just phenomenally gifted. And there's one thing being gifted, but there's also sort of bringing it. And when you got number one on the call sheet like that, all the other cast were like in awe and looking at him. And when he turns it on, he is on, and he's so in it. And you do a take and you'd say at the end of the take, oh, that thing you did. And he was like, when you said that, or you added that little line, and he like, I did that? And he doesn't even know, because he's so in the present moment. And you can do 15 takes with James, and he'll give you 15 different things. You go, what about this? And so it's such a brilliant game of tennis with him. You give him something, he hits it back with topspin. It's a delight as a director to have somebody that gifted and that engaged. Whether you call this a horror film, or a horror thriller, or a psychological thriller with horror elements or whatever, for me, what makes that sort of film very interesting is the relatability of the concept, and the relatability of the situation, and the truth in the characterization. And actually, really, I think what's interesting about this is if there's a sort of dark corridor that the characters are walking down in this film, it's the dark corridor of psychology of the characters they're interacting with, and the scares of that. And for me, that's much more interesting.
Hope you enjoyed your behind the scenes look. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you here next time. Later.